We're there. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for spending 45 minutes of your quality time here for hopefully a very insightful conversation with
rude
Vogue.
Sitting down. Sorry.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
So I'm Andrew McClelland from IMRG. I'm also External Data Protection Officer for a number of retailers, and I do quite a bit of consultancy around e-commerce and cross-border trade. Vogue, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would say I'm a tanning expert, and I am a podcaster. I work in TV, and I do lots of bits and bobs.
A little bit of media stuff.
A little bit of media stuff, a bit of business owning.
Excellent.
The usual kind of deal.
Excellent. So we're going to have a conversation around brand, building consumer confidence in product, raising awareness around those products and what brand means to consumers and how important product is.
Okay, sounds good.
Excellent. Right, so we're going to start off with your background.
My background. Can you hear me?
No, we can't. We've lost.
You're probably better off.
That's it. That's better.
My background. So I grew up in Dublin, and I was awful in school. Never really did very well in school. Ended up going to Aberdeen for uni because, no offense if there's any Aberdonians in here, but it was easier to get in over there. So I went there and I did a degree in construction design and management. I wanted to do architecture. I really enjoy buildings and like bridges and things like that. On interiors, I've always been really interested in that kind of thing. I didn't get the points for architecture, so I did the first building degree, and then I decided to go home to Dublin after that one and do another one in quantity surveying. And I've done absolutely nothing with them since. But I really enjoyed it. I think college is a really fun time. I think when you're 18, you don't really know what you want to do anyway. And I just knew that I was enjoying my course. I got to learn, like I did sections of it were like in law, and I always thought I wanted to do law, and then I thought I never want to do law. It's way too complicated. And I think I just had a really nice time. And when I was doing that, it's when I kind of got into modeling and into the entertainment industry. I always think that sounds really wrong, but not that kind of entertainment industry. So I started modeling in Ireland, and kind of from there I started doing TV, and that's where my career started to go, and I wanted it to go that way. But I have a very strict Scottish stepdad, so he was insistent on the degrees, and then the building industry collapsed, which was very unfortunate, but I was kind of slightly thrilled because I didn't have to do that as a job, and I didn't have to go to Qatar, and I was left to my own devices, and that's when I just started doing what I really wanted to do.
So in the end, you were saved from having a proper job, and you could pursue your your dreams, as it were. That's
exactly it. I think that, like, as a parent myself, I know I'd want my kids to get a really good education, and that's kind of things that you do value. And I'm glad that I did do it. And I think in some sense it probably did. It helped me along the way. It like helped me mature and understand how to actually just like focus my time and be left on my own and try and figure out my own path. I think it worked out quite well in the end.
So skipping forward a little bit, do you want to tell us a little bit about Bear? What's Bear? What's it mean to you? Where's it come from?
So Bear by Vogue is a tanning brand that I have with my business partner, and unfortunately he's not here, and he would tell you all the real in-depth business stuff. But we started working together 6 years ago, and I was actually about to sign with another tanning brand. And he kind of came to me and said, I really want to release a tan. I want to find somebody to do it with. Would you be interested? And I'm tan obsessed. I've been wearing it since I was 15. And I knew exactly what I wanted from a tan. And although I used other tans and I did like them, there were certain things missing from that product. And I could kind of see a gap in the market with it. And I knew that we could create this incredible tan. And he is really, really clever in business. And he distributes for a lot of different brands in the beauty industry, and he had created another brand with somebody else, makeup brand, and then this was going to be his tanning brand. So that's how we started it off. It was just an idea of how we loved fake tan, but there was certain things missing from the fake tans that we loved, that we wanted to make and create ourselves.
So right at the beginning, it's actually about the product and what it would offer you as a customer.
Yeah.
And how do you then translate that to, well, just because I like it, how do I know other people like it?
I suppose I'd spent so long kind of testing the market. I was literally using it since I was 15, and I knew, it's known for, it stinks. it's known for that. I didn't want mine to stink. Everyone going around smelling like a kind of gone off biscuit. They were all quite orangey back in the day. It was just the colour. And I wanted ours to be more of a brown, so I wanted it to look like if you use the medium shade, you've been on holidays for a weekend. If you use the dark shade, you've been away for a week. I wanted people to look like they'd been on holidays. I didn't want it to look like fake tan. I wanted to kind of move away from that and allow people to tan safely. And I just felt like it's kind of what was missing. And as well, the drying, the one thing with tan is it can be quite drying. So that was a huge thing for me, because not only will it dry out your skin, but when it comes off, you're probably looking at, stop talking about tan. When it comes off, it kind of, you get like this lizardy effect. So I didn't want that from our tan. So there was loads of different parts of other products that, although they were usable and good, that I knew that we could make better, that would then make people prefer ours. But in tanning, if you like a tan brand, you're really loyal to that brand, and you don't really shop around because you found the color that suits you, you found the tan that you find easy. So trying to break through that was quite hard. And I always thought that I said it to my business partner, I was like, if we can get people to just try it once, they won't leave our tan. And we weren't really willing to just go in at some really low price, because you can't just set a price and then try and up it like straight away. It wouldn't work like that. And we knew what the product cost and what we had to make it some kind of a profit. So the price had to stay how it was. And then we kind of went to the branding of the tan. And there's an incredible hair care brand called Kevin Murphy, and I remember seeing them when I lived in Australia years and years and years ago, and I just thought, that's like, I want to keep that bottle in my shower, or I'll leave it on my bathroom countertop, because you want people to see it, because they're such gorgeous bottles. So I thought if we had a really gorgeous colour bottle of tan that you leave out, because some of them are white and they're kind of they just end up being covered in tan, and they just look really grubby. So I thought if we had these gorgeous standalone pink bottles, and obviously the range has gotten much bigger now, so we have other colours in there as well, I thought that would be a little standout for people to try it as well.
So not only have you got the product to think about, you're also thinking about how you use the product,
yeah,
and then how it's presented to the customer. Every time they pick it up, you want them to feel good about using the product.
Yeah.
So it gets into packaging design.
Yeah.
Who would have thought you'd have been involved in packaging design?
I know. Well, I did actually try to get into product design. Again, didn't get the points, so that was like my little go of it.
But it's an intrinsic part of you. You're developing a brand.
Yeah.
It's interesting that rather than starting at a price point and working out what you could do in that price point, you started with the product that you wanted.
Yeah.
And then found out where that sat in the market. How successful has that been?
I think that we offer a really good price point, particularly when you look at if people get a spray tan. We actually haven't gone down the spray tan route. Although we do have one ready to go and people do want it, I kind of feel like if you get a bottle of our tan, it should be good enough that you even want to use it on your wedding day. But people do like a spray tan. You pay 60 quid or something for a spray tan. So when you look at what you get out of a bottle of tan, you're getting like 6 or 7 tans. So it kind of works out quite well like that. And the other ones on the market, like, we're quite similar to other tans. There's obviously ones that are more expensive than ours, and then you've got the lower end of tans.
So we could talk a little bit about getting customers to come back to you later. I'd like more interested about how you get them in the first place. You've got a product.
Yeah.
You're developing a brand. How do you find the customer?
I think because I was in the public eye.
So I think that needs to come forward a little bit.
I think it's... Oh, there we go. We got it. Don't know how Brittany does it. What was your question again? Oh, how you get them on board.
Yeah.
I think I was... my business partner...
Yeah, it needs to fold up. We've got...
I can do a handheld.
A microphone.
Thank
you very much.
You're going to get a double whammy now. That's better. I think my business partner as well wanted to work with me because I did have a profile within Ireland, and Ireland are like one of the biggest consumers of tan, probably because it rains all the time and we're all really, really pale and we love being bronzed. Like more than the north of England, Ireland are like tanners. So I think that selling tan to Irish people is slightly easier than you'd think, but I had a profile at the time, and I was able to push it on Instagram, and it was kind of when people had started becoming influencers and doing that kind of thing. So that really helped with pushing it, because once you get it into a few people's hands, which is all I wanted to do, and get them to like it, then the word spreads quite quickly, because you kind of find things through word of mouth anyway. And when I look at Instagram, I buy so many of my clothes, so many of my products, because I've seen somebody wearing it. Like, I have to mute people on Instagram because this woman just keeps posting so many clothes, and I'm like trying not to buy anything, but she's so good at selling, and she's not even making money from it, she's just linking them. So that's kind of how people do their shopping now, and I think that's how people found out about Bear as well, because once people started using it and started posting it, and everyone has different followers, so other people's followers obviously aren't going to be the same as mine, so you're reaching new avenues.
That leads us on to an interesting point then, is how do you step back from your own brand and let others become the influencers about your brand and spread the word without being a bit too clingy or a bit too parochial around?
I think I wouldn't be clingy at all, because I sometimes look at some of the influencers that are working for us and I think, my God, I've got to up my game. They're so good. So we know what we like. We know who we want for the brand. We want it to be super authentic. I don't want to work with an influencer who's working with one tan brand one day, then the next, just continuously changing. And I try to do that with my own work as well, where if I work with one brand, I'm not just going to switch to the competitor straight away. Like, I prefer to have a longer standing relationship with somebody. I think it's like, it makes more sense than you use the one that you love. So anyway, we choose people that we know love the brand, that wear the brand. Like, there was an Irish runner who was wearing the brand when she was in the Olympics, and we thought that she was incredible, and she was just wearing it off her own bat, so she's done some work for us. And I mean, you can't really compete with somebody posting about being at the Olympics. Like, I'm never going to top that reel, so she did a really, really great job. And it's just about, as I said, finding people that love it. And I rope my husband in sometimes. He loves it. And yeah, wherever I can get someone good, I'm happy to let them go with it.
But at the same time, you're also trying, well, you've got a brand that you want certain values associated with it.
Yeah.
So how do you combat those that aren't necessarily, they're just trying to get into your good graces by promoting your brand, which on one hand might be good, but at the same time aren't necessarily putting the right flavour on it for you and how you'd want the brand to be presented? You just have to let that go?
Yeah, I think for the most part, like, we haven't had any issues with any influencers. I think we use a lot of people from Ireland. We use some influencers from the UK as well. And like, influencers are like, I think influencers get a lot of stick, but the work that goes into creating ads and stuff for people, and it's kind of getting to the point with companies, like, I've had to say to companies, listen, I'm not an advertising agency. Like, what you're asking of me is something that you're going to have 30 people doing on a set. Like, that's, you kind of have to pull back a little bit. And we give people briefs, but I always think it's really important, if you're going to book an influencer to promote your brand, that they have to have their own flair on it, because you're booking them because you like them, and they know their audience, and they know what their audience likes. And I personally know that when I'm working for a brand, that I know what my audience will like. I know what will make them switch off. I'm in the same position as the brand where I want to sell the product. Like, I like the product. I want to work with them. I want to make the partnership really, really good. I'm not just there to try and make money. I want it to be a long-standing arrangement and, like, get on with somebody. So I think it's really important to just kind of let people go free a bit, but give them a slight bit of guidance.
And that guidance, do you then try and, yes, you're creating space so that they can be creative and they can be innovative and they'll think of things that we would never look at. But at the same time, how do you choose which influencers to work with? Do you do any audience? Do you try and understand their audience before you talk to them, or do they generally come to you because they're kind of talking about the right things in the right way? You go with it?
I think it kind of happens both ways. You spot people online that are just doing a really incredible job with their own stuff, and you might want to reach out to them. But As well, you have a budget to work with. So like some people are really expensive to try and employ, and it doesn't necessarily work out that they're going to sell loads of your products. We find that micro influencers are really, really good. People with kind of smaller followings, like they have a really engaged audience that really believe what they say and buy things that they want to sell. So like people like that are really, really good to work with. And I think that our team at Bear by Vogue, like the team is absolutely incredible, and they kind of have their finger on the pulse. They're about 10 years younger than me, so they're on TikTok all the time, and they find all the good TikTokers.
Actually, that was something we talked about last week when we were discussing the topics and how we were going to develop this idea. And you were saying that actually it's just as important to understand the different audiences that each of the social channels reach.
Yeah.
So how would you characterize the main ones for you? Do you see them in age brackets? Do you see them in spending profiles?
How would I think that TikTok and Instagram are completely different. Like there's completely different audiences on there. And I know with the podcasts I do, like we're trying to flood more videos onto TikTok because that's where you'll actually pick up loads of new listeners and stuff like that. And it's the same with people that will want to engage with your brand. Like you'll pick up loads of people there that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on Instagram, because on Instagram people are following you because they probably already listen to your podcast or they probably already know what you're doing with yourself. But I think it's just different on TikTok. So you kind of have to be on both. I think Twitter's dead, but I don't know. I just think there's just so many arseholes on Twitter. I kind of just try and avoid it. X, sorry, whatever it's called. and the owner's the worst on there as well.
And that's kind of the point, isn't it? That's kind of the issue. No one knows what it stands for anymore.
Yeah.
They're a bit suspicious about what it does stand for.
I know. I just think like you're always going to get people who want to like slag you off and stuff on Instagram, but I think Twitter people just go real hard. And like I don't like being involved in that. And I don't think Twitter is more of a place to make statements and stuff, not really to show off your wares.
Say something and run away.
Yeah.
So you're developing a cohort of influencers, developing market for you. What's the balance between your brand as it stands now and where you think they might end up taking it for you? Do they give you insight as to how you could develop the brand?
I think they definitely create new customers for us, 100%. I think it's really good to make sure that your brand is seen all the time and out there on people's different channels. But I think the brand kind of can stand on its own a little bit as well. Like we do a lot of email marketing and loads of different things like that. Like my business partner Kieran's all over that kind of stuff. And I think that's really helpful as well. And like you're always thinking of maybe like offers that you can do, like Big Friday is a big one for everyone. It's a really great way to even get new customers, because if you're doing a really good offer, then people might consider trying it. And I think you just have to keep trying to do different things.
And is that where you actually move on from? I guess that's the other point. Is the influencer community great at getting the new customer? But then how do you as a business make sure they keep coming back and buying more?
I think that you can definitely, not just the influencers, that's not just how you get new business. I think actually we're focusing a lot now on being in stores, whereas that wasn't always hugely important to us, but it's really good to have somewhere on the ground. But again, that kind of, you have to be very wary of how many products you have and how many new things you're bringing out, because you only have a certain amount of space on a shelf before things start dropping off and don't make it onto the shelf. So we do try and keep things compact and not branch out too much. But we got Boots Ireland recently, which was like a really big thing for our brand. We got Superdrug over here, which was really big. And I think being indoors like that, people are getting back out again, people are shopping and people will see you on shelves. And I think that makes a difference. But to try and keep customers, I think that you do have to offer discounts and sometimes things like that, and bringing out new products that you think people are going to love. We brought out tanning drops recently, and we do listen to our customers. So our customers were saying that they like tanning drops. I love our tanning serum. That's hands down one of my favorite products. I've got a really pale face because I'm trying to stop people going out in the sun and scalding themselves for 8 hours a day like I used to, and so I'm trying to bring out these products that will just make them feel good. So the serum's good, but then people really wanted the tanning drops, and with tan there's loads of different things that you can have. Like some people like a lotion, some people like a spray. and a mousse, and it depends on what they want. So it's trying to build what we think people are looking for as well.
So when we started off, we were talking about product, and of course in the digital world we can create lots of creative. We can really get quite imaginative about how we put that in front of the customer.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the product design. How do you then translate some of that into the physical store experience? Because it's ironic, 10, 15 years ago, we'd been up here talking to retailers about how they can recreate the retail experience, and now it's almost, we're investing so much in digital now.
Yeah.
On that shelf edge in Superdrug or another outlet, how do you create some of that brand excitement?
I think there's only so much that you're actually allowed to do in a shop. You can't just, if I could drag a whole Bare by Vogue thing in a huge oversized bottle and leave it in Boots, I definitely would, but they're not going to let you do that. So everyone's just allocated their space, and they're very particular about what brands they take in and out. So trying even to get into somewhere like that, it took us over a year, 2 years nearly. But then they're quite loyal, as in they keep brands, and they shuffle around very little. So you are given your space. I think our bottles on their own do stand out a lot, and I think that was important to us from the start, but also to have a pretty looking bottle that you wouldn't mind having out in the counter. And sometimes when I go to shoots, they rent out houses, and I might spot a Bare by Vogue bottle there, and I love seeing that. But with store experiences, what we try to do, we had an event for Boots to launch Boots, so we had a DJ, and we had everything was really pink and lovely, and just trying to do things like that. So that's kind of all you can really do in store, because you're left with a certain amount of space. Yeah.
So in some ways, we're going back to the old days of brand and brand promotion, where your role as a brand is to create the excitement.
Yeah.
And actually, it's back to the retailer to actually convert those into sales for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to push it ourselves so that people know about it and know where they can get it. And I think it's always nice to try and get into those places. So if I'm at Dublin Airport, we have SKUs in Dublin Airport, and I'd always try and catch them on my way out, or just anywhere I kind of see it, to go in and just see how people are getting on. Or the big shops in Ireland, I try and go in and do it like that as well, just to try and push them so people know where you can get it.
You were talking about doing the launch in store. One of the other things we were discussing the other day was around getting closer to the influencers, and you were talking about pulling together influencer parties or events, and actually talk about maybe doing some of that stuff for customers. So where do you see the value in those sorts of activities?
I think for us, at the end of the day, our customer is our most important person, because they're the people that are buying the product. And we did something just before we all took a 3-year break. We took loads of we took 6 of our customers away with us, and we did a thing called Bear Babes, where we all did a shoot, and we all just went to Spain and just had quite a nice time. They were there for 2 or 3 days, and I think it's really important to remember them. So we recently did an influencer event, which was really, really good, but then it just reminded me that we need to do something now for the fans of the brand as well, not just influencers, although they did a fantastic job. And we went to, very conveniently, there was an island in Ireland called Bear Island, so we went and took that over in Cork, and we were there for a couple of days again, and we all camped and went swimming and kayaking and things like that. So
did it rain?
It didn't rain. It was unbelievable. It was so nice. I couldn't believe it. So everyone kind of got involved as well.
Almost booked it.
Yeah, yeah. We were delighted. I might have rained the last day, but we won't talk about that. A little shower.
So coming back, taking it back to product. So if we're looking at influencers are always going to be looking for that opportunity to have a conversation with their audience, something new to discuss, something new to promote or talk about.
Yeah.
How does that impact your product development, and how do you make sure that you are keeping yourself relevant to that influencer audience so they're not moving on and looking for something else interesting to talk about?
I think it's just about, my business partner goes to Cosmoprof every year, and he wanders around there on his own and loves it. And he's obsessed with bottles and different foamers and stuff like that. So it's very handy that he loves all that stuff. But he's always looking out for what the next thing in tan is. And sometimes you'll spot something that they might have in America, even though it's not a huge tanning audience over there. But you'll be like, that could work over here. That could be a really cool thing. We looked into something before, which was like a bubble bath for tan removal. And then I was like, we went back and forth on it for so long, and I was like, I just don't know if people are going to want that. Like, to just their bath would be filthy.
Like an acid dip that you'd...
Yeah. You're literally sitting in dirt. So we didn't do that in the end, but we did. Like, tan remover is a big thing as well. Like, we had our own tan remover, but then we saw that people were wanting something that goes quicker. So although we still have our old tan remover, because it is a really good product, we brought one out that is a 5-minute tan removal. So that was something that we had seen online. And I think it's just about trying to follow what people are wanting and what's coming next, and what you think could work for your brand as well. I'm always trying to get my business partner to, I'm like, let's bring out a bronzer stick. And he's like, no, it's not. It's not part of a tanning range. So, like, he's good at holding me back on things like that.
I guess that's part of the issue when you've got so many fingers in so many pies. It's keeping the focus.
Yeah, big time. I think we've good focus with Bear. I think we know what we want to do with it. I think we have like a plan for the next 5 years. It's fun, it's exciting, it's something I really, really enjoy doing. And it's kind of, it just feels really easy to me to work in a business like that, because I've got the tan on today. I always have it on. I'm always being obsessed with tan. So it's nice to be able to work with something that you enjoy so much.
And talking about, so with the product development side, you can have the idea about what you want to create.
Yeah.
Do you have that expertise in-house for you, how you create a product, or do you have to go out and look for people that can make that thing for you?
There's 2 great factories we work with. So we have 2 now, because we had one and everything came from Cork in Ireland, and then Brexit happened, and then it was too expensive for people to buy it. And then they banned DHA. That was another thing that was really good for our brand. And this is kind of where my business partner like really excels as well. They were planning on banning DHA in Ireland, which is the main component in tan, which basically brings the tan up. And every single bottle of tan has DHA in it. And it's not banned in the UK, so don't worry. You girls can really tan over here. But we kind of knew, we had an inkling it was going to happen. So my business partner went ahead and spent money on creating a tan that didn't have DHA in it, and just kind of hoping we wouldn't have to use it. But we were kind of ahead of the curve then in Ireland. So when we had, I think, 3 weeks where we didn't have product over that time, but there were other brands that had like 8 weeks. So people who weren't able to buy their product were like, well,
where do we go?
Yeah, where do we go? And we're like, over here. So that really helped us with the brand as well. That pushed us even further, I think.
And do you find that, yeah, you talk about, you know, where you're going to over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
How does that contrast to the digital world, where actually 6 weeks is a long time in fashion?
Yeah.
So do you find yourselves constantly readjusting to, you know, something you thought was going to fly and you're going to invest in? Actually, the world's moved on by the time you get there.
Like, I don't even know if Instagram or TikTok is going to be around in 10 years' time. Like, everything could be completely different. And I think with anything, you just really pivot. And we're definitely ready to pivot. But I just feel like people are super health conscious now. Everyone's all about wellness, and that includes being sun safe. And for us, like, that was one of the reasons that we wanted to do the brand, so people weren't just sitting out and like scalding their skin. Even though my husband still does that all the time, it drives me mad. But I think people are really wary of that and just looking after themselves more. So people are reaching for fake tan more. I even think, so in America, they've started using tan more because they wouldn't use very much tan. Same with Australia. Their tan consumption is rising. I mean, it's still nowhere near us, but it's more people are getting into it.
But potential new markets for you going across into different territories.
Yeah, like, we'd love to do America. America is obviously the biggest. Like, it would be incredible to be able to do that, to get into somewhere. I love going into those chemists as well. You just pick up so much crap, and like, then people would see tan and be like, well, have that tan. And I think that would be next on our list. We'd love to do America. We're doing a lot of work over here. We're really putting an effort into the UK and trying to really push it over here too, because it's such a great market here for tan as well. And we want to just be in more doors over here. We've been doing bits and bobs on QVC as well. I never thought I'd be on QVC. I had an absolute ball. It was great. so much fun.
That is an awesome business model. The fact that it's survived the test of time as well.
It's so brilliant because you go into the building and you're like, Jesus, I hope there's some left when I'm leaving, because like they had this deal on Molten Brown and you're like, I need that deal. It's like free. And as well with QVC, if you use a product and there's something like a 60-day money back guarantee. So if you use that product and you get to like the end of the bottle and you're like, actually, I don't like it, there's a bit left, they'll just give you your money back. I shouldn't have told you that.
and those of you that haven't really looked at the QVC model, you could argue that they were the original influencers.
Yeah.
Because it's, they've got massive control rooms, so you can see what's being sold, volumes of stock, etc. But you'll notice that people are calling in because they've noticed that one of the presenters has got like an engagement ring on. And what's this? You know, where is the news? What's happening with this presenter? So actually, they're probably the precursor for the original 100%. Influencer.
They get really invested in the presenters. But I've only worked with women on that show. I'm sure there's men that work there too. But they're just so incredible at their job. They are like the ultimate sellers. Really good.
And it's constant.
What?
And it's constant.
Constant. You're kind of like, your mind is blown and you're there like, oh my God. And by the time you leave, you're like wrecked, but they're on to the next show, selling the next thing. They're amazing.
Live stock numbers, live sales prices, the lot.
And we're out of that time now. It's like, whoa.
So going back to you're looking into new territories. Obviously, the influencer community that you're going to be looking for might be different. Yeah. Their approach might be different. So really going back to the start again, I guess. How do you find the right people? Do you go to an agency and say, I need a bunch of influencers, or do you have a bunch of people that sit looking on all the social channels saying, actually, these guys are really interesting?
I think if we decide to do America, which I really hope we do, I think it would be people sitting, looking, and like, because you can't just go to an agency and be like, oh, here. It's not like you're looking for a model or a certain kind of look. You're looking for somebody who is just, they have to be organic, they have to be authentic, they have to actually just really love what they're doing. Like there's a girl, an American girl, and she sells makeup. I actually can't remember her name, but I see her on TikTok, and everything she uses, you're just like, I want that. Like, so somebody like that who's just really, really good at what they do. And you look at the people like Kylie Jenner gets on board, and it's like, they're so good, it's so sleek and cool, but it's not necessarily, like, I wouldn't say that my content is very sleek or cool. I just kind of do, like, I always look at other people's aesthetics on their page. You know, those people who are just black and white and stuff like that, and they've got these really curated page, and I look at mine and it looks just like blah. But that's just kind of the way that I do things. That everything has to just be the way it kind of is in my life. I'm not going to just go out of my way to try and... But some other people are really good at that, so it's nice to have a difference of people.
But you mentioned, I think a key word there is authenticity.
Yeah.
So actually, if it's hyper-polished, you wonder whether they're really into it or really just looking for the money.
Yeah.
Whereas someone that's just gone blah, it's, well, actually, they really enjoy it, they like what they're doing, they like the product, and actually, as a potential customer, is that where I want to go?
I don't know, they really sell that stuff well, to be honest with you. They've got me quite a few times. I think, though, authenticity is definitely like the #1 thing, and I think that influencers in particular they should be like truthful and honest. And like, I know people, and you can kind of tell, I think everyone's kind of copped onto it, that are just like using stuff to get paid, and that's okay if that's what they want to do. But I think if you're selling people products and people are going to be spending their money, you have to love the product yourself and use it yourself and want to use it. And if like for me, working with a skincare brand, which I do, you need to test that product. Someone asked me to work for them, and they're like, we actually need the reel really quickly within 2 weeks. And I was like, but I haven't used the product, so I wouldn't work with them, because you actually have to use it and know that it works, because you're selling it to somebody. So you don't want to be selling them a complete dud, because then people won't come back and they'll be like, well, I got that and it's not what she said it was. So.
And actually that really casts the light back on the QVC guys, because they're really doing a good job, because they can't use everything that they sell.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do.
But that's the point though around the authenticity, isn't it? It's they use the product, they understand it, they understand the market.
Yeah.
But how do you then develop that? Because you might want to go in a slightly different direction. Do you look to take them with you as you introduce your dip in a bath to remove it product, or do you accept that you've got to look for new influencers for different products and different ranges within your whole portfolio?
I don't really think so. I think we've got like we switch them around, not that often, but we have a lot of girls that have worked for us for a lot of years, and they just do really well, and they're really natural, and they look really good in the product, and they do a really good job. I remember once I was doing a job, and it was someone. Now she wasn't influencing for us, but she was interviewing me with someone, and she put on the tan, and I was like, I saw her hands, I was like, oh shit. I was like, no one's gonna want to buy the tan if they see her hands. I was like, we're gonna put a little bit of tan remover on those hands. But like things like that, you just want people that are good with tan. Like tan's hard to put on, and I want people that are able to show people how to put on tan. Because once you start using it, it gets much easier. I do my whole tan in 4 minutes now. And you do go-tos on your page. So like I'd be one of the ones that would be like, I'll show people how to do tan, because that's more my vibe than like someone just having really good light and being amazing. One of the other girls will do that.
So actually part of the brand then is around expertise, insight, guidance, and it's more than just a product.
Definitely. I think as well, ours kind of extends a little bit into skincare. My business partner would kill me if I said that, but we do have really nice, good ingredients for your skin. Like your skin is going to feel nice after it. It's going to feel soft. And that as well, it's just, there's just so many things to do. I mean, keep going on about tan. Sorry, that's what we're here to talk about. But within the whole business, like everybody does a different thing, and that like the influencers do a different thing. But we don't solely rely on the influencers. I would say the team that we actually have at Bear do such an epic job on their own. They're just so on it. They know what to do to try and get people to come back and buy more tan, and sending out emails and different things like that. Like it's just a constant kind of thing. We're always thinking of the next thing we can do. Tomorrow I'm shooting the Christmas packages. I know. What day is it? It's September. Yeah, it's Christmas. So we're shooting the Christmas packages tomorrow, but like forward planning on things like that, even forward planning on the Christmas packages, like that's done last year. Before the other Christmas packages are even out, we're planning on the next ones.
I used to work with a chocolate brand, and now's Easter. Yeah. Christmas is done and wrapped up. You know, what are we doing for Easter?
I know, I love that.
Sort of bucks the brain up a little bit. So coming back to Bear as a brand, obviously you're looking to grow it, but actually some of the way it comes across in digital channels is it's authenticity, but actually it's a small, niche, unique brand. How do you keep some of that family feel, if you like, as it gets bigger?
Yeah. I'm not sure we even do it on purpose, but it is a brand. It's from Cork. Most of it is made in Cork, except the products that are over here obviously can't be made in Cork. So I guess it feels like everyone that's kind of worked on it is pretty much the same team as when we started. And we started 6 years ago. And I remember because the first shoot we did was when I was pregnant with my first son. And I've like, even with my business partner, like we've just become really, really close friends. And it's actually a lovely brand to be a part of for that reason as well, because we're all good friends. You all want the same thing, and just trying to keep it like that. I don't think we're necessarily trying to keep it like small like that.
It's just the way it feels at the moment, because that's the way
it feels like that because it's the same people that are doing it. It hasn't passed hands or anything like that. It's been the same since we started, and that's maybe why it feels like a small family, because we still are quite a small family. Yeah.
So you talk about your 4 or 5 year plan, where it's going in the future, and we talked a little bit about how that might adapt depending on what's happening.
Yeah.
Do you think the influencer trend that sits behind its growth to start with and its promotion, do you think that's still going to be core in 4 or 5 years' time?
I just don't know what's going to happen in 4 or 5 years' time. I think like 5 or 6 years ago, you would never have thought that the influencer market would be what it is today. You would never have thought that brands would have been focusing a lot more on using influencers. Like TV isn't even used as much anymore because people are on Netflix and they're on Disney. So you actually never know how things are going to change. But I think that everyone kind of pivots as they need to do it. And I think with our brand that we're more than capable of doing that and have done that. And like my business partner would be thinking about things like he would think that Instagram certainly won't be around in 5 or 6 years' time. I refuse to believe that because I spend so much time on it. But it will end up being something different. But I do think the way of selling things is very different to what it was. Like, if I ever go into a shop to buy clothes, I feel like it's such a treat because I never do it. I don't even go into a supermarket. Like, I love going home to Ireland because I'll always go into the supermarket, whereas I don't really do it here. Everything is just done online. Maybe it's just me and all of you are still going to the supermarket.
But at the same time, you've already been talking about actually going into Boots, into Superdrug, and actually your product is actually going back to retail is still being at the right place at the right time for the right people, isn't it? So
yeah. I will start going back into the shops now. But I think that, like, it's nice that, I think with the tan as well, people want to kind of nearly test a bit of it, but it doesn't really work like that. So that's why we need that's why we need so many people showing off how to do it, loads of demos. And like, we've got shade finders and stuff like that on the sites. But it's nice also to go in when people do go into Boots and things like that, like, and just to be able to have that choice.
So you're talking about, you don't know where things are 5 years from now, but thinking back around authenticity and where Instagram's come from, 5 years ago, we were talking about 7 years ago, we were talking about user-generated content, brand ambassadors, getting that content next to the product page. Do you think there's a bit of disconnect at the moment between the influencer messaging and actually getting them to the site to convert and pay you some money?
I'm not really quite sure what the conversion rate on something like that is, but I certainly know that a lot of people use LTK and they make a lot of money off that. Like, I buy a lot of things off links to do with that. So, and when you look at people like that are selling for Amazon, for instance, I did this Amazon event, and there was a guy on there that was selling something like he was making 600 grand or something a month, selling products on Amazon, just creating a shop front, and like that wasn't around. Yep. Whereas Amazon are giving you a percentage of what you're selling, and some people are making that much, like, crazy amounts of money from selling stuff on Amazon, and it's just like really random finds. Sometimes it pops up on my Instagram as well, like, there's like scrubby brushes and stuff. You're like, oh my God, I need it. And so, like, even that is so different. Like, that, I feel like that wasn't even around 2 years ago. So,
and actually, what you're
next?
doing, all he's doing is selling Amazon's product from Amazon's warehouse.
Amazon are absolutely thrilled. He's thrilled. I'm not thrilled.
But it's coming. I guess it's coming back to, they've got enough confidence to be able to step back and say, you focus on that area. We're never going to. And it's, we used to call it about the long tail of search, where people would, it was the not the big key phrases that people were looking for, tanning, for example, but actually it'd be moisturizer and tanning or something, some of the smaller words, and that's where you'd get specialists focusing on that and selling tons of it, because the brand wouldn't know. So how do you let go of some of that control, if you like? Is that where you think some of those smaller, I think you call them micro influencers, do you think that's where they really add value?
I think with influencers, like, if they sell, it's amazing, and obviously that's what you want them to do. But it's a lot of it's about brand recognition as well. So for people to be seeing your brand on somebody else and to be seeing somebody else use it and how to use the products, because I think sometimes tan will scare people who don't use tan. So you have to kind of get over that speed bump. And I even found that when we did QVC, as soon as we said ultra dark tan, like, people just didn't want anything to do with it. When, like, I'm wearing ultra dark, it's not like you're not going to be a completely different shade, but I think that when people can see you using it and see influencers using it, that is always going to be more of a push, because I want to see what a product's like. I want to see how it works or how something fits on somebody. So that's why Instagram and stuff like that and TikTok is so good.
So we've only got a couple of minutes left, so we're not going to go to 5 years, but what does Christmas trading look like for you?
Christmas is a good time for tan. The summer is picking up more, but Christmas for tan, the Christmas boxes do well, because I think that people like an easy gift to give somebody, and it's about simplifying it and putting the products together that would work really well together. And I think our gift sets are always really gorgeous, and like the packaging is really nice. So you could literally just give it to somebody. You don't even have to wrap it, and it's always a really good deal on a box set. So people are looking to get a deal. So you're not paying what you would pay if you bought all those things separately. So that's always a push to do them. We'll do something over Black Friday as well, which kind of leads into Christmas sales. But I think we only started doing the box sets, was it 3 years ago? This will be our 3rd year, I think. So we hadn't done them yet. We didn't know if there would be a market for them, and obviously there has been. And I think when you're reducing the prices of things and you're putting it in a nice box, it's a nice, easy gift to give somebody. So hopefully it does well.
So Christmas sounds like a good place to finish, Vogue.
Happy Christmas, everyone.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks
you very
a million
much
for staying, everyone.
Thank you.